Peter Thomas Fornatale here, not at the DRF offices in New York, but at Harvey Pack's apartment on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Over the course of a series of videos, we're going to be talking to Harvey about some of the best stories from his decades in horse racing, broadcasting, etc. Can't wait to hear what he has to say. So Harvey, we're going to be talking a lot about your famous stories from your years at the racetrack. Many of them involve Saratoga. I know there's one in particular you're eager to tell about the horses themselves and how they make their way to the track.
Well, that makes me even older than I am. That's not, 91 is enough. You're making me about 132. But when I first went up there, this fellow Reggie, he was a bookmaker in England. He worked the ring, and he came over here through Canada, which indicates he couldn't have come directly in. But he made it, and he was a wine expert, owned a wine store, and he came to the track every day, and he used to hang out with us. And one day he said, he started to talk to me about the horses. I said, what do you mean? He said, they didn't have vans. They came up on the train, and they were walked from the railroad station all the way up, down, and into the stable area. I said, that's fantastic. I said, that's a great story. And I said, what did you do in England? He said, I was in one of the booths, you know, you take the bets. So unfortunately for Naira, about 6 months later, we had a strike of the mutual clerks. And Don Drew, who was head of Mutual, said to me, how about we put Reggie, give Reggie a window. He knows how to handle it. I said, well, I'm not going to verify that or vouch for him, but if that's what you want to do, gave him the $50 window. And we were short 4,000. And I said to Drew, he said, we're short 4,000. I said, we'll get it over time. Have no fear, we'll get it over time. And believe it or not, we did.
Tremendous. So Reggie, you had some knowledge of the track, clearly not that successful on the betting side of things.
Well, who is, as a matter of fact. But it was an interesting guy. And I'm trying to think of other stories. One of the really good ones, it's a quickie. Leroy Jolly, who passed away this year, had a great sense of humor. And whenever he walked by the museum, he crossed the street. And I said, why? And he said, if they see me, they'll take me out of the Hall of Fame. And he meant it. And he was probably right. That's my favorite Saratoga story, is when I was robbed. I'm sure I've told you that one. We were out for dinner, we came home, and it was obvious that we had been robbed. The house had been broken into. So I said, they still could be here. Told my wife to go upstairs and check, which is not true, but I tell, we do use it. It's apocryphal. And in the Post, what the Post editor wrote, they found Harvey's paycheck and left it. And the guys told me that these were not dangerous criminals. They were not going to shoot anybody. 6 months later, they were caught in a shootout. And that's all fact. But the next day in the Saratogian, the headline, Harvey Pack and 2 others robbed. Who do you think the 2 others were?
Jockey agents?
Leroy Jolly and Sonny Werblin. The man who discovered, who made the Jets win their only Super Bowl, and Leroy Jolly, a Hall of Fame trainer, and me, a bum. It was unbelievable, but I saved it. It was a nice headline.
You get billing over other sporting royalty. Saratoga must have been like that for you, a place where somebody in a city like New York, you're home most of the year. Racing has a place in the sporting landscape, but it's not, certainly isn't the straw that stirs the drink. Up in Saratoga, very different. You must have been a celebrity up there.
Well, in New York, occasionally a garbage man would yell, hello, Harvey. But up there, everybody knows you. And you go to restaurants and they know you. It's okay for 4 weeks and eventually 6 weeks. But on a year-round basis, I don't think I would have liked it. Because A, I wasn't paid enough to be a celebrity, and B, I didn't really need the adoration and the hate. As I've always told Andy Serling, when you're doing the job that we do, they all hate you. Because they want the job, they think they could do it better. In my case, they could have done it better, but I had it. But that's the truth. So there's no sense of being a celebrity all year round. It was just enough up there.
You mentioned Andy. The first place I ever saw him and eventually got to know him were the seminars you used to host at Saratoga over the days. What were your first impressions of Andy, and what was it like working with him over the years?
Well, I think he was 10, 12 years old, and he appeared on the track carrying a clipboard. And everyone who thinks he's a pain in the neck now, can you imagine what he was like then? But he was great. And he really was good, even then, with the horses. And he idolized Andy Beyer. That's why he's called Little Andy, because you could see them in Saratoga. Big Andy and Little Andy trailing behind him with the thing. And it went on for years. And as I point out today, Big Andy calls Little Andy to see who he likes, which is a nice compliment for him, because he's a good handicapper. And we did have that wonderful part years at Ciro's, where I did the handicapping with Steve Chris and other racing form handicappers, and Little Andy sat beside me. You were the producer one year. That's how you got the gig that changed your life.
Why I'm
Writing
sitting here
that
now.
wonderful book about me that sold 4 copies, and they were all of my family. However, that doesn't matter. We continue on. But Saratoga was great. There was one trainer, Walter Kelly, and my guys, Andy Beyer and his friend, they all thought that Walter Kelly was involved in many a putover. So I got him on camera, and I said, Walter, the statute of limitations are long gone. How about a few stories of putovers? And he gave them to us. He told us a few where they yanked and then let go. Some of them won, some of them didn't. But he was wonderful about it, which he wouldn't have been if he had still been that active. He was active, but not that active. But it was a great place. We did the shows. I did a lot of stuff inside near the gazebo with trainers. And it wasn't my idea. In fact, when it was presented to me, it meant giving up one day of tennis at Skidmore. I said, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. And they fought with me, and I finally did it. And they were right. Those were the best shows we ever did. We had Woody, we had Nero, we had all of them. And they were very talkative, and it were great interviews. I'm very proud of them.